Welcome to Social Media Explained, brought to you by Alpha Kappa Alpha, Tau Omega Chapter. I'm Elisa Gerald, and today I'll be giving you all the lowdown on social media and how to improve your content. Some of our key takeaways will be, why do we use social media? Some basic vocabulary, demographics of Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. Tips for improving your content on each platform, and some examples of some good social media strategies. Let's dive in. Many people wonder, what's the big idea with social media and why is it so important? But the truth is, it plays a big part in the way we communicate today. From our day-to-day jargon to the way we get jobs. It's all important. And it includes some benefits as well. It helps with marketing for companies. Many people are trying to reach people through social media now. And also through instant online discussions, you can reach friends you've known from college or friends you know from high school instantly. So you can stay in touch. And it helps you build other relationships, so forming new friendships and networking. And knowledge sharing, so you may learn something new that you never knew before online. Also, it helps you build your brand personally and professionally. So, before we dig in, I'm going to go over some vocabulary to help you guys get the hang of things, understand the meaning behind social media. So, hashtag. Everyone talks about it, everyone uses them. But what is it? So, a hashtag is a way of connecting your posts in social media to other posts. So, for example, a lot of people like to use hashtag Sunday Fun Day. So let's say you use that when you're out at brunch with your friends. If another person across town uses the same hashtag, all of our posts will be linked. So maybe we want to find a new place to Sunday Fun Day or to brunch. We could easily search the hashtag and now all of these Sunday Fun Day posts would be visible. So you could see how that could be helpful if you want to bring in more followers. Next, we have impressions. And impressions, engagement, the next thing I'm going to talk about, they can get kind of confusing trying to differentiate the two. So, impression. Each time a user sees a post. So, if you're scrolling down and you see the same post multiple times, that will count for multiple impressions. But engagements, on the other hand, that is if you actually interact with that post. So if you like it, you click on the photo, you watch the video, you click the link. That is an engagement. But an impression is just how many times it goes out. Moving on from that section, I know those two are very, very close. A follower and a friend. So these are people that subscribe to your channel. They get all of your pictures, your videos, anything you post. They can go on your profile and see them. Those are your followers and your friends. If your account is private, people have to request to follow you or be your friend. If your account is public, they won't. You'll just get like a little notification. So, moving on from that to our last little vocabulary word, newsfeed or feed. Any post from all of your followers, your friends, they all go into your feed. And sometimes when your friends share posts from other people, those will go into your feed as well. And so those are the things that make up your newsfeed. And so with that, we'll move on to Facebook, one of the broadest social media sites. It currently has 2.74 billion monthly active users. So every month, that many people are active on Facebook. When you think about it, that's a ton of people. And the demographic of this is really even across all age groups. There's not really one age group that sticks out, but surprisingly, Facebook is getting more popular amongst seniors. So look out, because your next follower could be from your favorite senior citizen. And you might be wondering, why are you telling me this? I really don't care. But the reason why we let you know demographic information is because you want to know your audience so that you can talk to your audience, because you have to know who to create content for. So, moving on to some tips to build content on Facebook. Try to use media as often as possible. People love pictures, people love videos. We want to see your dog, we want to see your cute kids, and we want to see where you're out having fun at. So whenever you're out, take a picture, capture a video, and post it. Guaranteed your engagements will go up because people have higher engagement rates with multimedia than they do with just plain words. So make sure that when you're making your next post, try to use a photo or a video. Or if you're feeling a little, sassy, include a GIF. And if you don't know what a GIF is, it's a little image that moves a little bit and usually has some type of pop culture reference, but not always. And our next tip is to post frequently and timely. So people want to know what you're up to. That's the whole reason behind social media. We want to keep up with those we care about. And so if you don't post frequently enough, people kind of forget about you a little bit. And so they're not really looking out for your posts as often. So you want to make sure you're posting as frequently as possible. I know it'd be too much to ask to post every day. I don't post every day. But try to, whenever you can, post, keep people updated, let them know what you're doing and who you're doing it with. The best time to post on Facebook is in the early evening. At this point, everyone's on their way home, they've cooked dinner, they're ready to plop on the couch and scroll through Facebook. So when you're making your post, think about, oh, are my followers online now? Are my friends here? So with that, try to use media, post frequently, and now try to keep your posts shorter for higher engagement. With technology comes shorter attention spans, and we want to keep our followers' attention, so we should try to limit our post content to be as concise as possible. And I know that's kind of hard sometimes, but we want to limit it to the main points. Studies show that posts that use less than 40 characters on Facebook get 86% more engagement rate. So think about that when you're trying to type your whole diary into Facebook. Limit it down just a smidge. And last but certainly not least, use hashtags. I know we talked about hashtags a little bit earlier and I'm bringing it back, but like I said, they bring everything together. It makes your post easily searchable and it'll be easier to find for someone who's not necessarily looking for your page, but they can find it anyway. And now we'll move on to Instagram. So like Facebook was the most broad, Instagram is the most visual. This social media platform has 1.2 billion monthly active users. The demographic of this social media site is highest with 25 to 34-year-olds. And this is the millennial ages, sort of. It's millennials with a little bit of Gen Z on the end there. But Instagram began when millennials were young, probably in high school or early college. And so it makes a lot of sense why this is most appealing to them and why it's most popular in their age group. So just think about that when you're crafting your messages, which we'll get into right now. Whenever you're on Instagram, try to use fun and youthful language. Because the average user is much younger, they'll want more fun language. Things like, yay, surprise, big sale in all caps, or something of that nature. But whenever you're typing out your captions, try to think of something that is fun, full of energy. That's the type of vibe that Instagram has. And if you do have to be serious, include an emoji in there. And the whole point of Instagram is to make your posts visually appealing. The platform is for pictures and videography, so making sure that whenever you do post, you try to have your content be nice and thoughtful. So that brings us to tip 2. Try interesting angles when you're taking your pictures. Use bright colors and take advantage of the Instagram story feature. So the Instagram story feature is something that Facebook has as well, but it's not used always in the same way, but it could be. And since Instagram and Facebook are owned by the same person, if you post on one, you can upload it to the other at the same time. So that's great. It's a handy tool. But with your Instagram stories, one thing that I find easier is if whenever I'm using an Instagram story, it's more of something that I'm doing at the moment. So again, I love to brunch, so I'm taking it back there. So if I'm at brunch, I may post a picture of my food, or I'll take a quick picture with my friends and upload it. So it's something that's more right now, it's happening. Or if I'm at a concert, I'm taking a video, posting it to the story. But an actual post would be more thoughtful, maybe an artsier picture with a really nice angle, all of my friends together really nicely posed, not so much of, and maybe an off guard or two, but really thoughtful. So try to differentiate the two, and you may be completely opposite of me. Find what works for you and use it to your strength, but try to make sure that it's interesting and colorful and fun and energetic, and people will flock to you. Next tip, make first impressions in your bio. So when you follow someone, the first thing they're going to do is click on your picture to see who you are and then read your bio. So you want this to tell a story. Who are you? What do you do? What do you stand for? Why should I accept your friend request? Why should I follow you back? So in 150 words or less, typically less, try to keep, especially on Instagram, I would try to keep it less than 30, really. 30 words. Try to explain who you are, what you do, what your interests are, and why you're special. And that'll make all the difference in why someone should follow you. And so that brings us to our next tip, one that it's gonna be really relevant in this one. Use hashtags and geotags. Again, especially on Instagram, hashtags are super important. On Facebook, you may use 1 or 2 hashtags, but on Instagram, the more the hashtags, the better. You want to get as many as possible so that as many people can find you as possible. You want to use things like AKA, hashtag AKA, hashtag AKA 1908, hashtag 1908. If you're posting for AKA, things like that. You want to make sure that people can find you. And geotags, a geotag is when you are going to a place, again, a brunch spot. So if I'm at Stir, whenever I take a picture outside of Stir, in Stir, I would make sure to geotag Stir and place that as my location. So it helps people know where you are. Maybe they want to try the restaurant. You become a trendsetter. Maybe you'll become an influencer, make money from social media. Who knows? You may be teaching the class next. But you want to make sure to use those because they'll improve your engagement and draw more people into your site. So moving on to LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the professional social media networking site. You go here if you want to look good to an employer, you want to meet new people, network. And this site has 303 million active monthly users. This demographic is higher than most. Its most popular demographic is 46 to 55-year-olds, which makes sense because the average CEO is about 58. So it's right there in that range, so sort of, maybe. But it is growing more popular with millennials as they search for jobs. Currently, there are over 20 million jobs on LinkedIn and 30 million companies. So your next job may be on LinkedIn. So some tips to building your LinkedIn connections and profile. Again, using media is key. Pictures help. They boost engagement tremendously. Using links, videos, those will help tremendously. And sometimes it might be really hard to create your own content. So something that might help is to share some others. So share helpful articles or posts. So TED Talk is a good one that I like to share. They have really nice videos on leadership or how to do X or how to do this or things of that nature. Things that were, I'm in social media, so I like to share a lot of social media articles, things that are up and coming in this world. So things that pertain to your field, share those things with your colleagues, and I guarantee your engagement will go up. Post frequently. On LinkedIn, you should try to post at least once a month to be active with your, just in case potential employers try to look you up. You want to make sure that you're keeping it updated as much as possible, and timely. So whenever you are posting, it's best to do it in the early mornings, so 8 a.m., 9 a.m., or after work hours when people are getting home. Again, use hashtags and keywords. With LinkedIn, hashtags, you should probably use anywhere from 3 to 6. That's usually the sweet spot as far as hashtags there. And keywords would be anything in your field. So if you are in medicine, making sure you use things like that in your posts, because you want your posts to be searchable. And that brings you to my favorite social media site, Twitter. Twitter, I call it the free-for-all site because of its lack of restrictions. I was gonna say restrictions, but aren't many, so it's lack of restrictions. Twitter currently has 166 million monthly active users, and it is popular with 18 to 24-year-olds. So I fit right in that slot. But Twitter's claim to fame began when, it rose at different time for different areas of the country, but its claim to fame is its lack of regulations. It's kind of a social media wasteland. Anything kind of goes there. So it's more of a free-for-all, which is why I dubbed it that. So restrictions you might see on Facebook as far as language or inappropriate content, you wouldn't see that on Twitter as much. There's some things, but very little. Some tips to building content on Twitter. Keeping messages concise. This is huge with Twitter. Where other social media websites allow you to do lengthier posts, Twitter does not. You get 280 characters and that's it. So try to post the main message and that's it. But it helps because on Twitter, you want to use conversational language. Again, the average user is much younger and you want to be youthful, vibrant, and talk to them normally. You don't want to be too professional because it's a free-for-all space. It's supposed to be funny and include humor and sarcasm, irony. The tweets that include those things, even with company branding, do way better than those that do not. Again, multimedia is king, especially on Twitter. GIFs, however you want to say it, is amazing. Using those even when you're responding to replies on a post are great. Using pictures and videos, but when you do, try to avoid using things that have way too much text or videos longer than 1 minute. Whereas someone may stick around on LinkedIn for a lengthier video, they're not going to do this on Twitter. You want to keep your videos to about a minute and a half if absolutely necessary, but anything other than that and you're losing your reader's attention or your audience. Again, use hashtags and keywords. So on Twitter, a brand page can get away with more hashtags than the average user, but an average user can use about one to three hashtags in a post, but anything more than that and it gets over into the ad territory, and that's not where you want to be as a personal page. So those are just some things to keep in mind when you're posting on Twitter. Now, we've talked a lot about how images make a post better, but here are some sorors putting it into real life, putting it into practice. So look at these images. When you're looking at them, think about what draws you to these images. Is it the angles? Is it the colors? Text? So look at these and try to think, can I do a picture like that? Is this possible? How can I implement some of these things that are drawing me into my own posts? You have a soror over here. She has her hand on a coat rack, but it's not necessarily the coat rack that's drawing your attention, it's the angle in it, right? And you have the cookies and the cake. Those are big pops of color, but the cupcake has a different angle as well, and you can see how that kind of draws people in. So you want to think about these things when you're taking your pictures and posting on your websites and all of that. So we've made it to the end, and I realize that I gave you a lot to think about, but I know it's hard to remember. So you can apply these 3 tips to any of these social media sites. Try to post often, use multimedia, and keep it short. Remembering to use these 3 things can boost your engagement a lot. So, start your social media journey by following Tara Omega on social media today. Thank you for watching the Tara Omega Social Media Explained.